Okay, so really quick before we get into this analysis, I just wanted to mention that I'm changing up different ways to keep the viewer engaged with what I'm talking about, as well as the visuals on screen. So if you have some suggestions about how I could go about that, or if you enjoy the format of me sketching something related to the subject matter, let me know down in the comments below. So, growing up, I've never been the biggest fan of playing video games, but I've always been fascinated by them, and recently my fascination has allowed me to try my hand at playing them. So, for my birthday last year, I got a Nintendo Switch and purchased the best game on the market, Kitty Love. No, but in all seriousness, I got Breath of the Wild, and it's really changed how I look at video games. I should also mention that my interest in the Zelda series began when I got Majora's Mask for my 13th birthday. My dad let me pick 2 games, so I picked the Animal Crossing franchise because I had loved that since I was a little girl, and I also picked Majora's Mask because I was an angsty 8th grader finally getting interested in the Zelda series, and so the dark storyline of Majora's Mask really brought me in. However, when I reflect on my time playing Majora's Mask, I don't really remember the storyline because I didn't really do all the side quests. I remember the interesting combat system with the different transformation masks. The only thing I really recall about the story was Mikau's death because that was what hit me hardest during the gameplay. And since the narrative fell flat for me personally, the game also fell flat because the game relies on people knowing what is going on within the narrative in order to advance the game. And while that is true for most Zelda games, it's not necessarily true for Breath of the Wild, which is why I think I enjoy it so much. This takes me to Breath of the Wild, and why I enjoyed that game and its narrative more so than I enjoyed Majora's Mask. The only time Breath of the Wild forces you to engage with the narrative is during the Great Plateau, or the tutorial section, as it sets up what the game is about and what your goal as the character is going to be. This means you can interact with the narrative as much or as little as you want. A speedrunner can simply get through the Great Plateau and then leave straight for Hyrule Castle, whereas somebody who wants to learn more about the characters and their motivations, like me, can stay and wander around and do all the side quests and all the shrine quests. This is not just a new and effective way of gameplay, but it is also a very effective way of storytelling and the way to present their narrative. Link's entire purpose throughout the Zelda franchise is to be a proxy for the person playing the video game. That's why he's silent in all the Zelda entries, except for the CDI Zeldas, but I don't think those count. They further this idea of Link being a proxy by wiping his memories in this game. Now, the audience is learning everything about the narrative at the same time Link is. It is now the audience's job to go and find the memories or to go and defeat the divine beasts. It's not expected of Link to do so, because he knows nothing, just like the audience. And while many of the side characters will give you different quests to do, such as defeating the divine beasts, the player has the option not to do so, to not interact with the narrative at all, and to rather create their own story within the game. And it allows for the audience to interact with the narrative however they see fit, to create their own enjoyment out of the game. Another thing that Breath of the Wild did that really made me enjoy this game more so than, say, Ocarina of Time, is they kind of gave Zelda more character development than she had in previous entries in the franchise. We see Zelda grow and mature as Link regains his memories. We see that she has genuine fears and that she's trying her best to be the best princess she can be. We see her struggle to unlock her power. By giving her character flaws and hopes and aspirations, it allows us to connect with her as a character more so than just having her as a plot device to give Link the ocarina or to be captured by Ganon so Link will have to go and save the day. This is further seen with the relationship between Link and Zelda as the game progresses. Initially, when you wake up in the Shrine of Resurrection, Zelda is simply a voice that guides you to wake up to start your journey within the video game. This version of Zelda, as a disembodied voice, is reminiscent of her within Ocarina of Time as a child, serving as a way to explain to Link how Ganon is evil and how he must be stopped, and not being a character in within herself. However, as the player chooses what way they want to interact with the game, they can uncover Link's memories or go into Hyrule Castle and read Zelda's journal. In doing so, we learned that Link and Zelda didn't always get along. They would fight and argue. Zelda saw him as a hindrance to her research. However, as time progressed, she gradually became friends with him, and it shows their evolution as people throughout the story. Instead of just playing a plot device, Zelda and Link are in charge of their own narrative. And it's the player's choice to interact with it, to get that context or to not have that context. And as somebody who prefers having Link and Zelda build a relationship as friends first rather than just the meet cute of, say, Ocarina of Time, I like having the option to interact with the narrative. I like having the option to see them as friends or as dating. I prefer having an option rather than just having the narrative forced on me if I don't want to interact with it. And granted, that's the whole point of story-driven games, is to tell a story. So am I saying that all games that have a very focused narrative are bad? No. I enjoy lots of games that have very focused narratives. I also enjoy, however, Breath of the Wild, which allows me to choose my gameplay experience. And I feel like more games should have that choice. That's why I like games that have the butterfly effect with them. I feel like I have more choice in how I experience the game. Long story short, I prefer Breath of the Wild storytelling because it allows me to choose how I interact with the story. By putting the audience in control of the story, it brings it back to its adventure roots, where it is the player's choices that create the end result. Now, this type of storytelling is not always going to be effective for every type of game, but it's effective here because the Legend of Zelda franchise was always a franchise about adventure. And by allowing people to have that sense of adventure again, it brings it back to its roots. And that's truly what I enjoy about this game. And this is not to say that Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask or the other 3D Zeldas fail in any way. I don't believe they do. I just personally prefer Breath of the Wild's take on storytelling. And that's just my opinion. Feel free to disagree with me. So that is all I have to say about Breath of the Wild. I'm sure you're glad to have me shut up about it. Recently, I've been super fascinated by the Kingdom Hearts franchise, so if that is something you would like me to research in depth and do a video about, I'd be happy to. Just let me know in the comments below. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you would like to hear me ramble about more fun analysis tidbits, and yeah, thanks for watching.